About a third of people would vote for authoritarian regimes if given the chance. In 1933, the Yahtzee Party got 33% of the vote shortly before overthrowing democracy. Across Europe and America, rising support for authoritarian right-wing parties peaks around 30 to 35% of the population, which also holds true for Donald Trump's MAGA movement. But what makes the supporters of authoritarian regimes tick? The book Authoritarian Nightmare by John W. Dean and Bob Altemeyer attempts to answer this by examining the psychology of Trump supporters. The book is worth a read, and it made me think differently about our political landscape. The ideas in it take a little while to explain, so bear with me. The book builds on the work of the late Professor Altemeyer, who conducted extensive psychological research into what he termed the right-wing authoritarian personality, and developed the RWA scale to probe their beliefs. According to him, RWAs share three core characteristics: a high degree of submission to the perceived established legitimate authorities in society, high levels of aggression in the name of their authorities, and a high level of conventionalism, insisting that others follow the norms endorsed by their authorities. Furthermore, studies have found that persons who score highly on the RWA scale as a group have highly compartmentalized thinking, they use a lot of double standards, they believe many conflicting and even contradictory things. They have a lot of trouble deciding what is sound evidence and what is not. Their thinking is highly ethnocentric. They are decidedly prejudiced in what they believe about others, and they are very dogmatic about what they believe. While the authors go on to further explore these traits in detail, they note the RWA psychological profile leaves them submissive, fearful, and longing for a mighty leader who will protect them from life's threats, which explains why RWAs are drawn to authoritarian leaders. Meanwhile, a less prevalent group known as the social dominators, or SDOs, comprise a significant chunk of the leadership within authoritarian regimes. They are people who believe in inequality between groups. Predictably, they usually believe their groups should be more prestigious and powerful than others. Some social dominators take their belief in inequality down to the personal level and are determined to gain power over people they know. Donald Trump, who wants to dominate everyone he meets, appears to be an extreme example of a social dominator. It's important to note that social dominators don't necessarily believe what they preach, but rather use rhetoric that appeals to RWAs to build their base of support, like Trump has done with evangelical Christians. This book is a fascinating insight into the field of political psychology, but it's also troubling, as it concludes that about a third of people will happily vote against their own interests if it means subjugating people they dislike. How do the rest of us maintain democracy if we have to work with or around the authoritarians among us? If there's a silver lining to all this, it's that the core of authoritarian psychology is an us versus them mentality, which means in the long term they cannot understand or outmaneuver their perceived enemies and will ultimately turn on each other. And perhaps therein lies the key to their own defeat.